Uh, Welcome everyone to the virtual launch of the Climate Ready Infrastructure Service for PEI Municipalities. I'm Lori Main, and I'm Communications and Engagement Officer with the Federation of PEI Municipalities. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land upon which we are located is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Epiquet is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for more than 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Today, we're really happy to share information on the Climate Ready Infrastructure Service. We think this service can benefit many of our members, and today we'll learn how. Thank you to our friends at the Canadian Urban Institute, who are going to be providing an overview and also leading a Q&A today. And before we get to that, I'd just like to ask our FPEIM team members to introduce themselves. Sen, our executive director, may be joining us a little bit later, but I'll ask Cassandra to start and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Cassandra Gautreau. I'm the programs officer here at FPEIM.
And most everyone knows Julie, but I'm going to ask Julie as well to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Julie McMurr. I'm the Executive Assistant and Office Manager at the Federation of PEI Municipalities.
Thanks. So now I'd like to turn things over to Matt Buckman. Matt is Senior Director of Programs and Partnerships at the Canadian Urban Institute and also Project Director for the Climate Ready Infrastructure Service. So I'll turn it over to you, Matt.
Thank you so much, Lori. And it's a great pleasure being here today and speaking to so many leaders in municipalities in Prince Edward Island. As Lori mentioned, I'm the project lead for the Climate Ready Infrastructure Service. This is a service administered by the Canadian Urban Institute. I'll tell you a little bit about us in a moment. And this entire service is funded by the Government of Canada through Infrastructure Canada. So I'm going to go through a brief presentation that gets into those details a little bit more, and then we'll have a Q&A. Because we are a relatively small group, all things considered, when we get to the Q&A, I'll really encourage everyone to put their cameras on, and we can explore how this service can benefit your communities and administrations together. So with that, I'm going to jump into this here presentation. So I'm going to start off by talking about a little bit about the Climate Ready Infrastructure Service. Off the top, it is a free consulting and advisory service to municipalities. It's all municipalities in Prince Edward Island are eligible. And we'll go over a couple case studies, a little bit about the criteria, and then, as I mentioned, we'll go into the Q&A. But first, a little bit about the Canadian Urban Institute. The Canadian Urban Institute is a nonprofit and charitable organization. We have an office in Toronto, but we are a distributed model. We have staff across the country, including the Climate Ready Infrastructure Service. We stretch our team from Ontario to the prairies, and in BC, and through partnerships like those with the Federation of PEI Municipalities, we have we're building a great presence in Atlantic Canada. The Canadian Urban Institute has been around for about 30 years. We're a platform for policymakers, civic leaders, and those that are on the ground addressing the challenges that their cities face, from infrastructure to public health. We are issue agnostic, and we're all about people making money smaller so that it can support smaller communities. And that's really well aligned with what we're here to talk about today. So what is the CRIS? The Climate Ready Infrastructure Service is essentially a very simple thing. We manage a roster of climate and infrastructure experts, and we connect those experts with municipalities and to provide expert advice on how to make an infrastructure project either more energy efficient or resilient to extreme weather events. Generally, we work with municipalities that have populations of around 30,000 or below. We do have direction from our funder that all municipalities in PEI are eligible. So Charlottetown, I don't know if you're here, but you're eligible too. Mostly the way our service works is we provide tailored support on that project from an expert, and it's up to $20,000 of tailored support. And the outcome is a technical options report that outlines practical and cost-effective options to ensure that the limited dollars we have to address our infrastructure challenges go that much further and withstand the types of events that we're seeing more and more frequently now. We're not alone in this service. We do have two sister services, which we can talk a little bit more about them later. The first is a help desk, which is administered by Housing Infrastructure Communities Canada, our main funder. And this is a service where municipalities can essentially reach out, fill out a brief request form, and get guided support to different programs, initiatives, funding that the federal government is offering. So think of that as a 311 for climate and infrastructure with the federal government. The second is a service called the Climate Insight Tool. It's run by a partner organization called ICLEI, Partnership of Low Carbon Municipalities. Not quite sure how those letters line up, but that's basically what it is. And what they have is a platform called climateinsight.ca, and I'll show everyone a little bit more about that later. So we'll move on. Our mission is through the CRIS is ultimately focused on capacity building and helping municipalities address the climate challenges they're seeing more and more, and provide some additional support, some additional bodies to help plan for those infrastructure challenges. In many ways, this program is designed with municipalities like those in PEI in mind, who are on the front line of dealing with effects of erosion, flooding, and other extreme weather events. And so really, this is an opportunity to benefit from an expert who can work with you over the course of a couple months to move a project forward and provide some options for you to move that forward. The key program features for municipalities: there's no cost to participate. So we essentially enter into contracts with the expert, not with the municipality. And through that, we're able to avoid any kind of procurement hassles that municipalities might have. It's a free service to municipalities. The second is expert support and guidance. So I've mentioned our experts a number of times. We're able to tailor the outputs to the needs that your community wants to focus on. It could be starting a conversation with your council or CAO. We could ensure that the product, starts that conversation effectively. It could be filling out grant applications. We can get the technical information necessary to help you fill out that grant application. We can't fill it out, but we can give you the information for you to copy paste. And then on top of that, it's a flexible custom service. So we can work on a range of assets, a range of hazards, and we really work to tailor this service to the needs and priorities of each local government. On our expert side, we have 80+ experts from across Canada, lots of expertise in water-related infrastructure and with buildings and facilities. And actually next week, we're going to be opening up a call to add more experts. So, we have lots of experts right now, and there's more on the way. In Prince Edward Island, we do have a number of planning, engineering, and climate-focused organizations. When we match a community with an expert, we do our best to align it with someone who's close regionally, understands the regional context. That's critical, absolutely important, but ideally they're somewhat near you. And as we do expand this service and grow to add more experts, we're of course looking to add more experts on PEI. A couple case studies, because I've given you the parameters of it. It's always better to talk about the types of projects that we are working on. In North Rustico, Prince Edward Island, we're working with the town of North Rustico to provide options that will mitigate greenhouse gas emissions, as well as I believe it's also in a flood zone, and their current fire hall was managed was badly damaged by Hurricane Fiona, as I'm sure many other facilities across PEI were. And so we're working with them to both look at energy efficiency, reducing greenhouse gases, as well as ensuring that hazards like those experienced in Hurricane Fiona can be mitigated. In Tignish PEI, very similar. We're looking to enhance energy efficiency and meet GHG reduction targets in a community recreation facility. So these are two really on the energy efficiency side. On our website, which I'll show at the end, we do have lots of other examples. We have 75 projects currently underway across Canada, and about 50% of them are in Atlantic Canada. And so we do have projects focused on shoreline erosion. We do have projects focused on water treatment plants, trying to make them both more efficient and resilient. And so our criteria is really very simple. First, we look at the population, and as I mentioned, all municipalities in PEI are eligible. So everyone here has already ticked that box. Then we look at asset class. So we just look at the asset class needs to be owned and managed by the municipality, but there's lots of flexibility in what those assets are. So parks and trails are eligible. Shorelines, if the municipality owns or manages anything along the shoreline, we'd be able to work with you on that. And then of course, buildings and facilities, roads, culverts, if you manage those. So there's lots of flexibility. And then finally, we just look to see that the project that we're working with you on is somewhere in a council plan. So we just want to ensure that it's a real project that's on the books. Doesn't have to be funded, just needs to have some really executive sign off. And finally, or almost finally, to register for this initiative, it's very simple. We ask for a short submission form to be filled out. It takes 10 to 20 minutes. We ask a little bit about you and your community, about your team, high-level project overview, understanding of how you're looking to address climate considerations, and then really a couple timing questions. And I should say this is very different from other federal programs. This isn't a competitive grant service. We will provide expertise to any municipality that comes in the door. So we consider this a service request and a conversation starter. So if you're looking at it and you find it to be intimidating, fill out whatever information you have, and we will work with you to further flesh it out, figure out what types of expertise you need, and we'll work with you to ensure that the scoping and the deliverables that you get at the end of the engagement help you with however you want to use it. And finally, this is the Climate Insight tool. So this is our friends at ICLEI are delivering this service. And if you're curious about what types of infrastructure solutions you could pursue on any given project, this solutions finder that they have on climateinsight.ca is a great tool. You basically, similarly, you fill out a short survey, a couple questions about your community and the infrastructure project that you're working on, and it provides case studies, examples, and essentially they have a massive resource library of infrastructure solutions and standards that you could employ on your project. So if you don't know what project you want to work on, or you don't know what solution to bring forward to the CRIS service, to our service, the Climate Insight tool is a great place to start. So with that, I'd love to open it up to Q&A. I know I've dumped a whole load of information onto everyone here, and I can keep the screen up, and I'll just ask that folks could put their cameras on. Feel free to put your hand up. If not, I might call on you. Radio rules. We want to fill the dead air. Yeah, we can take it from there. So, any questions? I might call on, I'm seeing one brave individual with his camera on, Jamie Taylor, if there's anything, if there's any thoughts that, or questions that you might have based on this presentation, or any projects you have questions about.
No, to be honest with you, Mirko and I are both with Miltonville, the rural community municipality of Miltonville Park, and I'm kind of sitting in on this to inform myself a little bit. But we are in I guess, a rather somewhat unique situation here. We're one of the few regions, probably in the island, that we're not a flood risk anywhere, and our biggest concern, I guess, would kind of be like a forest fire or wildfire out here following Fiona. So as I said, I'm just kind of here to get a little bit better informed on some of the projects and possibilities, options that are out there, and that's about it. But great presentation. Yeah,
thank you very much, Jamie. We do have wildfire experts as well. That is absolutely one of the hazards we work on. We focus on it from really two angles. Both, we can focus on it from like a building materials context, as well as a kind of more strategic, how you might protect a critical infrastructure asset from wildfire. So strategies based on the specific siting of the facility. So we have about 25 experts. I can't speak to how many are located in Prince Edward Island, but we have about 25 experts that are on our roster that have said they're wildfire, or are wildfire qualified experts. So yeah, and feel free to use the Climate Insight tool to explore. They have lots of stuff there on wildfire. And I'll let you know, we might actually be doing a specific call for wildfire projects in the in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for that. But also feel free to jump the gun and just submit a project before then.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? I'm gonna go to is there anything in the chat? No, that's us.
One question that might be helpful for some of our members, Matt. A lot of our municipalities have some beautiful parks here, and parks are a category that you cover as well. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about what might be possible in terms of expertise related to parks.
Yeah, absolutely. So parks are, of course, that's an asset we can work on. The projects we have right now related to parks really are focused on nature-based solutions to flooding. So imagine, putting in rain gardens or berms or any kind of natural asset to ease any flooding that comes through. We do have flexibility based on, I know that in Atlantic Canada, there are some different arrangements on how parks are owned or managed. So if a community organization, for example, owns and manages a park facility, but the municipality has a very close relationship and provides funding or provides capital fundraising support for the park, we're able to actually work on projects like that as well. So we can work with a nonprofit association that manages that park, as long as the municipality is a partner on the project. So there's lots of flexibility on how we can actually operate. Yeah, does that help, Lori? kind of
That's
Yeah.
very helpful. Thank you.
I have a question.
yes, please.
My name is Mirko. I work in small municipalities here in Prince Edward Island. I wonder if the project can support climate adaptation plans.
Yes, so we're project specific. So our mandate is to focus on a specific asset and a specific project. We don't provide support for community-wide plans. However, the way that we're working with some municipalities is we will identify a project with them that they can then use the insights from that to inform a community-wide plan. So in one case, we're working with a community in Ontario where they had a critical access road washout in a storm. And we're doing an assessment of that strip of road. It ends up being about 500 meters of road. We're doing an assessment of that road, and we're doing a technical analysis and providing options on how they can build that road to be more resilient. And they're planning to use those insights to inform their adaptation plan, specifically for road and sidewalk infrastructure. So that's how we can support. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and in a second phase, you can support that project?
Yeah, we would provide technical support specifically on that infrastructure asset. And then we can tailor the outputs of the report to help inform a community-wide adaptation plan. Yeah. I do also see a question in the chat, which is this open now? And I see my colleague Eva has already answered it. So yes, this is open now. We have a rolling intake, and our program goes for 3 years. I will say we do have specific project calls, and when we do that, it's really because we're teeing up our experts to be able to serve you quickly, essentially. So when we do specific project calls, it's just a way for you to really access our service faster on specific project types. And if you sign up for our newsletter, which I would also encourage you to do at climatereadycanada.ca, you can see when we're doing those calls and what types of projects we're calling for.
Brenda McDonald here with the Resort Municipality. Just a question, is there a certain timeline to finish a project if you do get funded?
That's a great question. No, there's no timeline. We're very flexible. Generally the way it works is once we get a submission in the door, we'll work with you to scope the project and match the expert. There's a little bit of back and forth involved, and that takes generally about 6 weeks. And then the projects themselves, once the expert is matched with you, it's flexible. It depends on the project. Right now, the engagements are averaging around 3 to 4 months. And at the back end, once you have that report, there's no obligation for the municipality to actually implement anything in it. So it's really for you to use for your information and for your own planning purposes. Yeah, and that's basically it. Any other questions there, Brenda, around those kind of technical pieces?
No, so all the costs for it are funded, like when you submit? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's all funded through the government of Canada, and we own the contractual relationship with the expert. So you don't have to, you actually don't have to sign anything. We really just ask, once we're agreed on a scope of work, that you understand your obligations, which are really, working with the expert and providing information in a timely manner. It can be as light or as heavy touch as you like.
And is it just funded as standalone, or could you be doing it with a bigger, broader project that you were trying to get funds for?
Would you be able to give me an example?
Like, say, for example, if it was an infrastructure project that, would be a big scale project that might be a couple $1 million project or something, and then this was part of it for doing the, legwork and stuff to determine what we were going to do for that complete project and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can work on really like any scale of project. Most of our projects end up being really less than $1 million, like the actual infrastructure projects themselves. But yeah, there's no limit.
And my last question was just about the slides. Can we get a copy of them so we can present them to the council?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
The other question that might arise, Matt, further to Brenda's questions, is if the project has other funding sources, can they still use CRIS as well?
That's a great question. We're stackable. In short, you can match us with any other funding or services or programs you're accessing from any other order of government. So we're a rarity, I think, in this world where we're very flexible, and we're intended to be a bespoke service that is flexible to your arrangements and your needs. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, I might hand this back to Lori to close this out. But I would just like to say thank you so much for attending here. I really do appreciate it. We have, I think, 4 projects in Prince Edward Island already. And over the course of this program, we'd like to provide advice to every single community in PEI. I'll just say my family's originally from PEI. I love the island. It's a very special place in my heart. So it would be a great honor to be able to provide you advice through this program. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Matt. We love our island connections, I'm sure. And thank you also for such an informative presentation, and to Eva as well, who's done a lot of work behind the scenes to make this such a useful launch and information session. I just wanted to let everyone know that I will be following up with the slides, with a recording as well, so that you're able to share this information with the councils or other people on your staff. And I really appreciate everyone taking time out of their day to attend today. As you're brainstorming, if you get some ideas or have some questions, of course, you can reach out to me at the Federation, or you can reach out to Cassandra or Matt, and we'll certainly help you brainstorm or answer any questions that you might have. And other than that, we're just really excited about the service and looking forward to seeing how our PEI municipalities use it to make their projects more climate resilient and more energy efficient. And just thank you, everyone. That's it from me. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you, Lori.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.